Hi guys, welcome. It's Ryan here from the London Craftsman channel. How are you keeping? Right, today is a short video. Keep it short and sweet today. All I'm going to be doing is showing you how to create a fingerpull handle like this. You can create any shape you like. We've got one which is 100mm by 25mm. You can do a little one, 25 by 25. You can do 200, 300, whatever you like. We generally go about 25mm down, but any shape is possible. We're going to be using some really simple tools that you hopefully have lying around. A router with a flush cutter. So we're going to be using this trend router. It's an 18 volts router, 1/4 inch. And as you can see here, we're using a flute cutter or a flush cutter. You can see we've got a bearing at the bottom. So that's very important. So the bearing needs to be at the bottom of the cutter, not at the top, because what we're going to be using is a template. And this is what I'm going to be showing you. It's a template like so, very, very crude, just made out of a little bit of scrap, MDF. You can use ply, anything you like. We're going to be just following that exact shape, and that is what the bearing is for. That bearing is going to be following along that cutout, and the cutter will follow that and give you the shape. So if that floats your boat, you want to find out more, stay tuned, watch to the end, and I hope you enjoy. So this is a drawer that we've just made. It's for a wardrobe that we're making. We've got 4 of these. And as you can see, we've got the cutout there dead center. So that is the look that we are going for. So the first thing that you're going to need for this job is a template. So we've just used a little bit of 6mm. You want it relatively big. You don't want it kind of small or thin because the router needs to sit on top of the template. So it's roughly about 150mm. And again, you want it a little bit longer than your cutout, maybe 150mm past. Obviously, you need to pin or clamp that onto your fascia. There's 2 ways. You can just clamp it on with some clamps once you're routering, or you can get a couple of pins, couple of tacks, and just tap it in place, just enough to hold it. Obviously, if you've got solid wood or you've got a veneer, you might not want to pin into it, so using clamps. So what we need to do first is need to find the center of our fascia. We've got a little bit of scrap piece here. We found the center line, okay? And then what we need to do is grab a template. But before you do, you're obviously going to need a template. So to make a template, it's very, very simple. You need to make this cutout exactly the same size as the handle that you want. So if you're going for 100mm by 25, you do 100 by 25. If you're going 25 by 25, do 25 by 25. So there are a few ways you can cut this out. You can use a jigsaw or you can use a table saw. You can jigsaw it out and then router it out after by using straight edges with a flush cutter to create a nice smooth line. But the most simplest way is just running it on your table saw. And the way we did that is very, very crude. We just set this up to 25mm from the face of the fence to the edge of the blades, and we just dropped it down and just created that cut here, okay? This is why we got these lines here. It's not going to affect the template whatsoever. And then we got our sliding carriage and we just slid it on, did one cut and did another cut with a sliding carriage. So table saw, I'm not going to go into how to set your table saw up. Whatever template you have, the cutter is going to follow it. So it's quite critical that your template is nice and square and flat, just so you get a nice fingerpull handle right at the end. So with that, what we've done is we've squared across a center line, dead center of our cutout, and we've squared that up to the front edge as well. You just simply place that template on, flush with your work at the top, and then you line your center line up of your template to the center line of your fascia. Once you've got that, you simply just grab a pencil and just draw around the cutout, okay? So we need to take out a bit of that meat first before we go ahead with the flush cutter. Technically, you don't have to. A little bit too much for the cutter to do in one hit. So we're going to leave a few mil on, okay? So I've simply got a jigsaw to hand. We've also got a bandsaw over there. So if you've got a bandsaw, it might make your life a little bit easier. What you need to take into account is, as this is round, if you take off too much meat of the template, this is all the meat you need to leave on for the curve, okay? So if you are cutting out your shape, don't cut right up to the corner. So I'll draw something in. So you sort of need to take off like that much meat, and then just leave that curve on, okay? Because the router, it needs to take that out. If we run our jigsaw all the way to there, and we're going for the round, then you're going to have a little cutout, which is going to look terrible. It's going to be sort of like that. It's not going to look great, okay? So get my mask. Let's just go for it. There we go. That's going to make our life a little bit easier, less to router out with the router. So next thing to do is to get our template onto our workpiece, and I'm going to be clamping it on today. So I've got the template on now, as you can see. As you can see, we've lined up the center lines and we've made it flush for the front. And I've got the fascia clamped down in 2 places, just enough so the router's still got a little bit of space. And we've clamped it down to our bench with our dog holes. Okay, so make sure your ball bearing is proud of the base by about 4 or 5 mil. And I'll show you how we got that set up. If you come down, we've got our blade just proud of our fascia by a couple of mil. Okay, if you're too low, then it's not going to router out the whole of the shape. Okay, and as you can see, the ball bearing there is also going to hit our template too. So that is perfect, okay? So all we need to do is get our protection on. Earplugs in. So you don't necessarily need to do it in one pass, okay? You could just skim it a few times round, 3 or 4 passes. That's probably what I'll do. That's a little bit off. Okay, so the battery just ran out midway through, so I've swapped that over. But that's what we got to. Okay, let's finish this off. And it's as simple as that. So yeah, very simple. As you can see, it was just a couple of passes. Typically the battery ran out halfway through, so we did a little bit, changed the battery over, and back on it again. So we got that nice round. As you can see, we got no cutouts where we went too deep with the jigsaw. So be aware of that. Leave enough meat for the round of the router cutter before you start routering. So this is what we've achieved. Really nice, perfect little cutout. Nice and smooth. What we always do before we finish a component, if we've machined something or routed it or anything like that, we run round all the arises with either a hand plane, a chamfer plane with a round over, or something like this. So this is a tiny little 1.6mm round over cutter. It's the tiniest little cutter on there, but that will give you a nice little round over on your piece, a bit like what you see here, nicely rounded over, takes those sharp edges off. So that's what I would suggest you do. Get yourself a little 1.6mm round over cutter. You're not going to get in with a plane here, so a little cutter is perfect for that, and you'll just go over all your edges, okay, both faces. Once you've done that, you want to obviously sand up the inside of your finger pull. To do that, 120, 240 all the way around, then go around and swipe those edges that you've routed, and that is then ready for paint. So if you are spraying or you are finishing this with paint, I'd suggest that you just roll around with some primer. We use acrylic undercoat primer. That's perfect for edges. Just get in there with a roller twice, let it dry in between coats, and job done. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If that's helped, like and subscribe, leave a comment, try and get back to you as soon as I can. Take it easy, guys. Have a good rest of the day. See you next Sunday.